This meeting is being held in person and by electronic means, and council members and the public may participate by either method. Any members joining electronically are reminded to enable video to confirm quorum. This meeting is being live streamed on the city's website and YouTube, and meeting progress will be updated regularly on X at Van City Clerk. I'd like to acknowledge that we are on the unceded homelands of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. We thank them for having cared for this land, and we look forward to working with them in partnership as we continue to build this great city together. I would also like to recognize the immense contributions of the City of Vancouver's team members who work hard every day to make our city an incredible place to live, work, and play. Clerk, may we have the roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor Sim is on a leave of absence for personal reasons, 1 p.m. onwards today. Councillor Bly is also on a leave of absence for civic business all day. And Councillor Dominato.
Present.
And Councillor Fry. Do not see Councillor Fry. Councillor Kirby-Young. Do not see Councillor Kirby-Young. Councillor Klassen. Do not see Councillor Klassen. Councillor Maloney. Councillor Meisner is in the chair as the acting mayor. Councillor Montague.
Present.
Councillor Orr. And Councillor Joe.
Present.
The hearing has quorum, Chair Meisner.
Okay, thanks so much. Okay, so before we begin, a few announcements. The public may speak in person or by phone, or may submit written comments to Mayor and Council. Speakers may only speak once and will have up to 5 minutes to comment on the merits of the application. Please state whether you're in support or oppose the recommendations, and if you're a Vancouver resident. Those representing 4 or more individuals or groups, including themselves, may speak for up to 8 minutes. Each person being represented must confirm their presence in person or by phone and may not speak separately. Please follow the live stream at Van City Clerk on X to track our meeting progress and know when your turn to speak is approaching. And please note the live stream has a slight delay. Written comments can be submitted through the Mayor and Council public hearing feedback form linked on X. If you pre-registered with the presentation, say next, please, to have the clerk advance your slides. The procedure bylaw prohibits council members from the use of words, tone, or gestures that express negative views of individuals or groups. Members of the public are expected not to engage in improper conduct, which includes hateful, defamatory, or discriminatory language. Council members may raise a point of order if language is not respectful. As chair, I may ask speakers to adjust their remarks accordingly. A reminder, at public hearings, council acts as a quasi-judicial body and must focus solely on the merits of the rezoning or the heritage application. Members may ask clarifying questions of staff or speakers, including the applicant, but should reserve debate until after the speakers list has closed. After hearing from speakers, council may approve the application in principle, approve the application in principle with amendments, refuse the application, or refer the application to staff for further consideration. Finally, if all speakers are not heard this evening, the public hearing will recess and reconvene on Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 at 3 p.m. Our first item is miscellaneous amendments concerning various CD1 bylaws. Before we begin this agenda item, if anyone believes they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Does anyone have a conflict to disclose? Okay, not seeing anything, so the clerk will now read the application and the summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by the General Manager of Planning, Urban Design and Sustainability to make miscellaneous amendments to bylaws for the following. CD1 for 3352 to 3384 Vanessa Avenue and 3347 Clive Avenue, for 848 Seymour Street, and for 1026 1108 West 41st Avenue. The amendments would amend 2 bylaws to increase the allowable height and 1 bylaw to correct an error in the calculation of density. No correspondence has been received on this application since referral to the public hearing.
Okay, thank you very much. So this is the first call for speakers. Any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free at 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. This item does not have a PowerPoint presentation. Would staff from Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability like to provide any opening comments on the application?
Thank you. Good evening, Council. My name is Nick Danford. I'm the rezoning planner for this item. So this report recommends text amendments to 3 CD1 bylaws. The amendments would change two bylaws to increase the allowable height and 1 bylaw to correct an error in calculation of density. Staff would like to note that there's a yellow memo attached to this report that would need to be moved as well related to item 1 within the report. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Okay, so please note that the applicant is the General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability for this item. With that, does the applicant or the applicant's designate have a presentation?
Thank you. No, we do not.
Okay, thank you. And are there any questions from council to staff or the applicant? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So this is the second call for speakers. If there are any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free at 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445#. Before the close of the speakers list, the speaker, or the phone number rather, will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We will now hear from the public. Any registered speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the podium when your name is called, but I don't believe we have any speakers for this item. So, I don't know, do we need to check who's on the line? Is that the next?
Yes, thank you, Chair. At the moment, there is no one on the line.
Okay, thanks for confirming that. Okay, this is the third and final call for speakers. If there are any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free at 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445#. Before the close of the speakers list, the phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. And we will now take a 2-minute recess for any additional speakers to call in or come forward to the podium. Thank you. Okay, that's the end of our recess. Clerk, do we have any additional speakers in chamber or on the line?
No.
Seeing no further speakers, the speakers list is now closed. Clerk, has there been a large volume of public comments received on this item since 5 p.m.?
No comments.
Okay, thank you. Seeing as there are few or no public comments received after 5 p.m., I am now going to close the receipt of public comments. Does the applicant have any closing comments?
No closing comments, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do staff have any closing comments?
No closing comments except to remind council of the yellow memo that needs to be moved.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. And does council have any questions for staff? No? Okay. Clerk, did we receive any additional public comments since the close of public comments?
No.
Okay. So I'd like to remind council that we'll need to move the recommendation for item 1 together with the yellow memo. Together with the yellow memo, yes. Dated August 26, 2025. Sorry, I'm a little congested today, so hopefully I can speak clearly. Rezoning, miscellaneous amendments concerning various CD1 bylaws. Proposed height amendment to CD1 899, bylaw number 14333, 3352, 3384 Vanessa Avenue, and 3347 Clive Avenue. Council will now make its decision on this application, and we had a mover in Councilor Kirby-Young for the recommendations. Yes, and the yellow memo seconded by Councilor Klassen. Council members, is there any discussion? Okay, not seeing any. I'll now call the vote. Clerk, if you could please take us to the voting screen, and council, if you could please register your vote on the voting panel. Just waiting for one vote from Councilor Dominato. I'm not sure if they're online.
Sorry, Chair.
Hi.
Yes,
Vote assist?
I'll take a vote assist in favor. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you. Okay, that passes unanimously. And that completes item 1. Okay, we're now going to move on to item 2. CD1 rezoning 45 East 16th Avenue. Before we begin this agenda item, if anyone believes they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Does anyone have a conflict to disclose? We've not seen any, so the clerk will now read the application and the summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by JTA Development Consultants to rezone 45 East 16th Avenue from residential district to comprehensive development district to permit the development of a 17-story mixed-use building consisting of 145 rental units with 20% of the residential floor area for below-market rental units and commercial space on the ground floor. A floor space ratio of 6.8 and a height of 55 meters with an additional height for rooftop amenity space are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received since referral to the public hearing. 6 pieces of correspondence in support, 48 pieces of correspondence in opposition, and 1 piece of correspondence dealing with other aspects of the application. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Okay, thank you. This is the first call for speakers. Any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll free at 833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. We have staff from Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability here to present the application. Good evening.
Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. My name is Zoe Acton, and I am the rezoning planner for this application at 45 East 16th Avenue, being considered under the Broadway Plan. The site, shown in red, is located mid-block along the north side of East 16th Avenue between Ontario and Quebec Streets. The site and the surrounding area are zoned RM4 and are developed with ground-oriented residential buildings. The property is currently developed with a 3-story residential building built in 1966. 21 out of 23 units in the building were tenanted at the time of the rezoning application. Of the 21 active tenancies, all 21 are eligible for tenant protection under the Enhanced Tenant Relocation and Protection Policy. The neighborhood is undergoing significant change, with a future subway station located 7 blocks away, which is scheduled to open in 2027. The area is well served by public transit, bike routes, parks, childcare centers, and community facilities. The site is located in the Mount Pleasant South Apartment Area B subarea. The plan permits a 20-story rental building with 20% of the residential floor area secured as below-market rental units. The maximum density is 6.5 FSR, with an increase of up to 0.3 FSR for ground-level local serving retail. The plan also allows for additional height for rooftop amenities. The application was submitted in April of 2024. The applicant proposes a 17-story mixed-use tower with ground floor local serving retail and additional height for rooftop amenities. The project includes 145 rental units, with 20% of the residential floor area secured as below-market rental units. A density of 6.8 FSR and a height of 55 meters are proposed. The average starting rents are shown on this table, as well as the average annual household incomes that they serve. Starting rents for the below-market units are to be discounted 20% below citywide average market rents. A virtual Q&A period was held from July 3rd to 16th of 2024, and 155 pieces of correspondence were received. Support was expressed for the height, density, and massing, the design of the building, the commercial use, and the increase of housing units. Concerns were related to height, density, and massing, neighborhood character, shadowing and views, as well as traffic and parking. In response to public feedback regarding the height, density, and massing, the proposed height, scale, uses, and density are all consistent with the intent of the plan. In terms of neighborhood fit, this application meets the form of development that is anticipated by the Broadway Plan, which seeks to incentivize new housing options in close proximity to rapid transit, shopping services, and amenities. For shadowing and views, the proposal does modestly impact the shadowing on Mount Pleasant Park. However, staff have assessed the condition and have concluded that the proposed amount of shadowing is minor and does not exceed the existing shadowing by the tree canopy. Finally, regarding parking and traffic, the application meets the expectations of the parking bylaw and will need to provide a transportation demand management plan at the time of development permit. Staff anticipate an overall reduction in vehicle trips with completion of the Broadway subway. The public benefits accruing from this application are the rental and below-market rental units. The DCL and public art contribution are estimated to be approximately $1.9 million. The applicant has also requested a 100% waiver of the citywide DCLs for the residential floor area. The site was not subject to a CAC review, as the below-market rental units offset any land lift, and therefore no CAC is required. In conclusion, this proposal aligns with the Broadway Plan and advances the city's rental housing targets by delivering 145 rental units with 20% of the residential floor area secured for below-market rental units. Staff recommend approval of this application, subject to the conditions outlined in Appendix B of this report. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Would the applicant like to present the application?
Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. My name is James Todd, Principal of JTA Development Consultants, and I'm here as applicant for the proposal located at 45 East 16th. A big thank you to staff for their work and collaboration together to bring this proposal forward for Council consideration. We're proud that this project aligns with the city's goals and the Broadway Plan around below-market housing, rental supply, and complete walkable neighborhoods. Our proposal is for a purpose-built rental building, which includes 20% of the residential floor area secured at below-market rents. This commitment directly supports middle-income households who are increasingly being priced out of this area. The proposal also includes ground floor commercial space, activating the street and contributing to the vibrancy of the neighborhood. We believe this will strengthen the local economy and complements the character of Main Street, just steps away. We've taken care to ensure the project respects the surrounding context while supporting the city's climate and housing goals. The design offers a mix of unit types to support a diversity of renters from singles and couples to families. We've also engaged with the community throughout the process and have heard strong support for more rental options, and in particular, housing that allows people to live, work, and age in the same neighborhood. We're excited about the opportunity to deliver much-needed secure rental housing and contribute positively to the Mount Pleasant community. Somerville community has also been engaged with tenants for the project. There are 21 eligible tenant households who've had a minimum of 9 touch points, including introductions and direct phone calls, the all-tenant meeting, and project updates. When the proposal reaches the interim housing stage, tenants will be offered an alternate option with the same landlord within their portfolio of properties within the same neighborhood, ensuring each tenant receives an option to remain in Mount Pleasant at the tenant's choice before being welcomed back to the new building. Thank you for your consideration. We're here with our architect, Studio One Architecture, and are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions from council to staff or the applicant, noting that this is the only opportunity for council to ask questions of the applicant? Councillor Maloney.
Thank you. This is a question for the applicant. What noise attenuation measures are you planning to put in place to protect the residents of this development from the noise of 16?
So we have constructed a number of buildings along arterials throughout the city. So we will be following the acoustical requirements of arterials for the building. Currently anticipated there'll be double or triple pane windows and other measures. It's also a concrete building, which insulates a lot of the noise that you would hear from the street.
And what about between the units within the building?
So, I mean, it'll be a typical steel and stud wall partitions between the units. Also meeting there are quite detailed acoustical requirements as part of the building process, so we'll meet all of those requirements.
Okay, and I see that you're allowing for 237 bicycle spaces and that it will exit to the rear lane, which is very good since Yukon is a cycling route. Will those spaces accommodate oversized or non-standard?
For sure. Yeah, so there's a complete mix. I can refer to my architect for the exact breakdown, but we do anticipate a mix of sort of larger storage spaces to accommodate the larger bicycles that folks do have, and also of other sizes as well. So we'll have options for all sizes of bicycles that a tenant may have in their possession and want to bring with them.
Charging for e-scooters and e-bikes?
Yes, so there's we'll be following the code requirements, which I believe is a plug for every 2 stalls. And so those will be made available as well, for sure.
And I see that you've got some existing tenants that will be displaced by this development. Are you going to do anything above and beyond the minimum requirements to look after the tenants?
For sure. So the ownership of this particular property have a number of properties in the neighborhood as well. And so when the project approaches the 4-month notice, options within their portfolio within the neighborhood, meaning they'll automatically qualify, they're with the same landlord, will be offered options within the portfolio, guaranteeing that should a tenant choose to remain with the landlord and in the neighborhood, they'll be able to in the interim period. So that is above and beyond the policy, and it is absolutely something we'll be offering all tenants.
And I noticed that a couple of existing tenants aren't eligible for the PRPP. Why is that?
It would just be that they were not eligible for it would just be when their leases would start. I believe, though, at the time of application, there were 21 tenanted units, and all 21 are eligible. The other 2 units were not, were vacant at the time of the application. So actually all tenants in this building that were in place at the time of application are eligible.
with the two that aren't eligible, will you be offering them information and?
Sure. So I believe, yep. So, ineligible tenants, because we don't want to leave units vacant over the course of the approvals process to that 4-month notice. So those tenants that are not eligible will be eligible for the RTA benefits, which is the 4-month notice, and also 1-month rent compensation, and they will be corresponded with exactly as all other tenants. So they'll be aware of the project as it goes forward. And coming into the building, they were also made aware of the application and that they're not eligible. So they are fully aware of the project and what is available to them.
Thanks very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Councillor Orr.
Yeah, thank you. I had some similar questions. I'm glad to have those answered. Maybe this is a question for staff. Can you just kind of give a refresh? It's been a few months since I've gone over one of these, but like just a refresh on how this aligns with the provincial TOA guidelines. This would be within the TOA, which is mandated by the province anyways.
Yes, correct. Thank you for your question. So this site is within Tier 3, and Tier 3 allows 8-story, 3 FSR. So the Broadway plan allows for a larger building at 6.5 FSR with the 0.3 of additional FSR for commercial space and a height of 20 stories. This application is only 17 stories, but they have maxed out the FSR.
Okay, I see. And then can you just remind, just for the record, what are the provincial standards around tenant relocation in that legislation? Is there any, or?
Let me defer that question to the housing staff on this file. We're online.
Hello, Molly Blower here from Housing. All tenants under areas in the TOA area are eligible for all benefits under the Residential Tenancy Act, so the provincial tenancy protections, whether or not they're in our TRPP area.
Okay, thanks very much. And then just a question for the applicant. What do you sort of envision, or is there any vision for what the commercial space would be?
So, I mean, for this building being so close to Main Street, I think it'll be a mix of, for sure it'll be local serving, and we've worked with city staff and they have allowed a really big range of potential services. So, you know, whether that's a cafe or it could be a dental office, it could be a medical office, it could be, you know, it'll be a service for the community. And so that's at the moment the where we believe the retail will service the community, because we want that to be as a success as well.
Excellent. Okay, thanks. That's all my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Montague.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I heard you mention this is a Tier 3 under the TOA for 8 stories. Can you also cover, I was flipping through the hundreds of pages of the Broadway plan, and as well as the city-initiated zoning that I know there hasn't been a decision on yet, so I want to be careful what I say and what your answer is, but just want to confirm. So the current guideline for Mount Pleasant South Area B, which is what we're talking about here, from my understanding, is 20 stories. The Tier 3 TOA is 8, and this the city-initiated zoning, although it hasn't been there hasn't been a decision yet, would be an R3 at 6 to 8, right?
I'm going to defer that question to John Grottenberg from the Special Projects Office.
Hi, Councillor. Thanks for the question. John Grottenberg, Special Projects Office. So under the proposed city-initiated rezoning, subject to council approval, this property would be rezoned to R33, which enables up to 6 stories. Rezoning to what we call district-to-district rezoning to an R5 or 20-story zone would also be possible.
Okay, so an R3 without a rezoning and then an R5 with one.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I'd like to talk about the fact that this is very close to Mount Pleasant Park, and I know there's a reference in the report to shadowing on the park from 10 to 11:15 on the equinoxes. What does that mean in practical terms? And can you update us? I know we just had an update at council yesterday on solar access guidelines. And so I'm just looking to see how that syncs in terms of the current solar access guidelines versus this particular
Yep.
zoning application.
Thank you so much for the question. I'm Hamid Chayan from Development Planning. The solar access guidelines is for downtown. This is outside the downtown, and the requirement at Broadway plan is still in place. In this area, we don't want to have any shadowing on the park, public park, from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. In this particular project, we have a modest shadowing from 10 to 10:45. That's why we have the rezoning condition to minimize this one. We already know that they're gonna have some impacts on the form of development and the density, but we are working with the applicant to minimize this.
So how would that be achieved, minimizing that?
But some form of development refinements at the upper levels.
Okay, so it
Yep.
could be design treatment setback.
Yes, exactly. We have urban design conditions, rezoning condition 1.1, addressing this concern.
Okay, and then if, I know this application is considered at the time it comes in and subject to the policies at the time. If, when council adopting those guidelines yesterday, if this application came forward, would it be allowed to shadow the park? It says, you said 10 to 10:45, it says 10 to 11:15 in the report.
That's a very good question. In this area, I can say this is the only lot can be qualified for tower, not for shadowing on the park. The other lots around this park will have shadow on this one. We know that in some case, the location of the parks, the size of the parks is so, maybe it's going to make it very hard to not shadowing on that one. This is some, maybe director of planning can provide, ask for more analysis and assessment to minimize this one. But based on what we have right now, based on a Broadway plan, no, we are not expecting shadowing on this park, in this area.
Okay, but this application, would it have been allowed to shadow from 10 to 11:15 if the policy, if it came in after the decision that council took yesterday?
Want to leave it to Hiroko Kobayashi?
Thank you, Councillor. Hiroko Kobayashi, I'm a senior development planner. So yesterday, the solar access guideline approved was within downtown area. And then we do already have the guidelines, solar access outside of the guideline, outside of the downtown guideline as well. And then our guidance, and then also the proposed development actually align with the guidelines.
Okay, but isn't the guideline not from 10 to 4? And this is-
That's correct, but it's also, we do have the, there is a section 1, talks about maximizing the solar access up to the 94%. And then there are some study that are considering that there are some approximately 3% of the shadowing could potentially consider onto that park areas.
And you're saying that this falls within the 3%? That's how
It's
you're
very
interpreting-
close, yes, based on our calculations.
Okay, thank you. I'll leave it there.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, this is the second call for speakers. If there's any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free at 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We will now hear from the public. Any registered speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the podium when your name is called. Speakers will have 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merits of the report being considered. Our first speaker today is Nicholas Ray. Hi, Nicholas.
Hello, my name is Nicholas Ray, and I am a Master of Community Planning student, and I live in Vancouver. I live on the same block as this site, in a building very similar to this one, the existing building, and I support this rezoning. I want to talk about my experience with housing in this neighborhood. My partner and I moved to Vancouver just over a year ago, and we were lucky enough to have a friend move out of their apartment and refer us to their landlord. We currently pay around $2,300 for a one-bedroom apartment, which I think in this market is a lucky deal. But our building was built 65 years ago in 1960. It has shared laundry, no elevator, no bike room, and no air conditioning. In any reasonable market, that would probably be a bad deal. We got lucky, but most people are not. We need to be building new housing so that it is easy for newcomers to find a place to live. I want to walk you through my life in the future. We love Mount Pleasant. We love the park. We love Main Street. We love Toshi Sushi, which is right next door. And we love being close to 2, soon to be 3 SkyTrain lines. Eventually, I will be out of school and making a reasonable salary. We would love to stay in this area, but live in a 2-bedroom apartment in a newer building with modern amenities, like an elevator and a bike room, maybe even a gym. And we'd probably pay more for that. I had a look at the property data before coming here. There are functionally no new or no purpose-built rental buildings that have been built north of Broadway between Cambie and Maine since maybe the 70s, basically the 60s. How have we gone over 40 years without building a new rental building within like 6 blocks of this site in any direction? Vancouver's population has almost doubled in that time. How are we supposed to have a healthy rental market when we have neighborhoods that haven't built any new rental in over 40 years? If we had been building consistently through that time, we would probably have affordable housing. The data and research consistently shows that to have a healthy rental market, vacancy rates need to be 3% or higher. I don't need to tell you we aren't close to that. We need new housing. We need new housing so people can downsize, so that people can upsize or upgrade like us, so newcomers to the city have a place to live near work, so that partners in unsafe homes can move away from abusive partners. Is this project perfect? Maybe, maybe not. As someone studying tenant displacement due to redevelopment, I would prefer if new developments were replacing detached homes instead of existing rental. But I also know that the Broadway plan has great tenant protections and that there are a lot of factors that lead into purpose-built rental being redeveloped. I also wish new developments near bike streets like Ontario didn't have any car parking. Without mitigation, this may lead to more cars on what is basically a bike highway. But I'm also excited to have new businesses in this area, especially on quieter streets away from Main Street, even though 16th isn't that quiet. Maybe it'll mean I'll spend less money at Toshi Sushi if there's something in between me and the sushi. The units in this building look well laid out, and the amenities look really nice. I think the view of the city from the top will be incredible. And most importantly, it will create new housing in a housing crisis. We can't let perfection get in the way of good, new housing. Nice neighborhoods like Mount Pleasant shouldn't be gatekept. Many like me can't afford detached home prices or even duplex prices in this neighborhood. This will be more affordable than much of the other existing housing in the neighborhood. Housing is a right, and we are not building enough new housing. This is a drop in the bucket, but the only way we can get there is project by project. This project will allow new people to join the community, and I welcome them. Please permit this project and everyone like it. Hopefully, with the Broadway plan zoning, we can all be here a little less often. Thank you for your time. Have a good evening.
Thanks very much. Speaker 2, Mary Irvine.
Hello?
Hi, is that Mary?
Hello? Yes, yeah.
Hi, Mary. Please go ahead. You have up to 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so I live in Vancouver. Yes, and I just want to say that I am opposed to this project. Yeah, and my comments fall into 4 categories. First of all, I'd like to say that the frontage and the height, that the Broadway plan requires 45.7 meters, and this site only has 40.4 meters of frontage, so it doesn't comply with the Broadway plan. And the staff have applied flexibility here, but not next door at 35 East 16th, so that's an inconsistent application. And I believe that the rule was created to prevent oversized towers on narrow sites, and stretching it undermines the plan. Approving a tower here would orphan 35 East 16th and move any coherent east-west building height transition, leaving one tower beside a park-constrained corner site. And at the southern boundary of the Broadway plan, it would be better if the buildings were 12 to 20 stories and lower. And I must say that listening to staff and council today, that the zoning guidelines are so obscure and confusing that I think they are very ripe for misapplication. The neighborhood context, the surrounding buildings are 3 to 4 stories. Under the category of public services, Simon Fraser Elementary is projected to be 176% of capacity by 2030, and that's before any new developments in the neighborhood. This project, as well as the one at 14th in Yukon, would add 100 family-oriented units and potentially dozens more students. The school is already reliant on portables, and their wait lists are 1 to 3 years. Without infrastructure planning, new residents won't have access to schools or childcare nearby. This proposed development contradicts the plan's vision for walkable, complete communities, because people would have to drive their children to school or take them in another manner. Another category, environment and neighborhood character. 67% of the mature trees, 8 of 12, some of them are over 4 stories tall, and they would have to come down. 12 additional cedar trees are not accounted for in the referral report. This contradicts urban forest strategy to protect leafy green streetscapes. It replaces green space and gardens with concrete, reducing drainage and livability. Shadowing impacts on homes, patios, and the Mount Pleasant Community Garden. And finally, under safety, development. With this development, the traffic exits onto the Ontario Bikeway, which is already identified and completed for safety upgrades. And this will worsen conflicts between cars and cyclists. Any upgrades would have to be development funded or developer funded. So in conclusion, the Broadway plan integrity depends on consistent application, not selective flexibility. This proposal sets a precedent for ignoring clear rules. And I request a mid-rise 6 to 11-story development that would better respect the plan policies, neighborhood character, and infrastructure capacity. I'm sorry that I am a little bit truncated in my speaking here because I've got an echoing time lag here, and I can hear my own voice, but after I've spoken, so I'm really sorry about that, and thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks for calling in.
Okay.
Thank you. Speaker number.
Thank you.
We'll now go to speaker 3, Stanley Lee, on the phone.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Stanley, I just need to ask you, are you a resident of Vancouver?
I am. I walk by that park literally every day.
Okay,
So
great.
I am.
Thank you. Just had to check because it's not on our list. Please go ahead.
Okay. Mayor and council, my name's Stanley. I walk by that park almost every day. And as it stands right now, I oppose the application, and I'm going to outline the reasons why, although there's a lot of parallels with the last speaker already. I do understand the desperation for housing. However, given the context of the site, especially the frontage, and also the abandoned, or rather the orphaned property of 35th and 35th E16th, the same width, was told that a tower can't fit. I am concerned that approving this rezoning application would create a negative precedent going forward for other applications in a similar light that wasn't covered by your hearing yesterday already. Also, I'm sure that you and those of you in the chamber, especially the YIMBY Army, are already aware that the elementary school is already headed for 176 capacity by 2031. And that's before the numerous rezoning applications, so-called family-friendly rezoning applications that has already been approved or about to be approved. So parents already have to enter a lottery to send their kids to their local schools. So I think promising family housing when the classroom door stays locked, I think it's really propaganda, to be quite honest. And speaking of schools, since a large number, if not the majority of the parents, are not able to send their kids to their catchment school, it's very unlikely that they will take public transit or even walk to the next closest schools. So they're probably going to resort to driving. And in order to exit the underground garage, they have to cross Ontario Street, which is the busiest bike route in the city, and it's already flagged by transportation for safety upgrades. So I don't really know what your priorities are between this and the rezoning applications. So I hope if you end up approving this, I hope you have fun. You have fun dealing with the complaint about riders being squeezed between concrete walls and turning trucks. So the so-called Vision Zero Vancouver, it's really just Vision loophole. And this proposal also cut 2/3 of the on-site canopy as well, including 8 mature trees and 12 uncounted cedars, which violate the urban forest strategies that you have adopted to fight the heat island effect. So unless you're trying to stimulate the air conditioning market, I'm not really sure what you're trying to do here. I want to conclude that I'm not anti-density, I'm not NIMBY, but I would appreciate if you guys would be more holistic in terms of the planning. Please approve a mid-rise 6 to 11 stories, keep the trees, work with the province to fund real school expansion, and extend the separated bike lane before the cars arrive. Please let this rezoning back to the table and prove that you guys are not just serving the profits of your bosses. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Stanley. Now we will go to speaker number 4, Hannah Chernowski. Good evening.
Good try. It's Cherniowski, but thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
I'm a resident of Vancouver and a homeowner in Mount Pleasant. And I just wanted to first say thank you to the City Council for allowing me to speak this evening and voice my strong objection, along with the 48 other people who wrote into the survey about the proposed rezoning of 45 East 16th from RM4 to CD1. And I hope to tell you how this runs completely contrary to the Broadway plan and will decimate one of the most character-filled neighborhoods in Vancouver. So the Broadway plan stipulates that a building must have adequate frontage in place for towers of this height, and this is to protect our city from oversized towers being built on undersized lots. You've simply said in the report that you will make an exception based on the depth of the lot, but the developers have not provided a geological survey to determine the impact of this tall of a development on the building itself and the surrounding areas. As I'm sure you know, much of Mount Pleasant is built on a peat bog, which is very obvious by the sunken houses no more than 2 blocks away from the site. Permitting this oversized tower jeopardizes the neighborhood. If there's no intent to follow these guidelines, then why do we have them at all? The plan also talks about tapered height, moving away from stations along Broadway. This is the furthest most border included in the Broadway plan. So how does it make sense for a tower to be rezoned for maximum height in this area? Secondly, word for word, the Broadway plan outlines the goal to maintain the green and leafy character of Vancouver's mature tree canopy. The base podium, to accommodate this tower, will remove 4 mature trees that are over 4 stories tall, as well as the entire lawn, which will impact the neighborhood feel and the drainage in the surrounding area. The developers have not included the plan to remove 12 2-story tall cedar trees which are on the property, and the development will also shadow Mount Pleasant Park. As Councillor Kirby-Young was alluding to, this will be shadowed at the equinox, and the part that will be shadowed is the community garden, where 20 to 30 gardeners have tended plots for 10+ years. Absolutely no signage and no information has been posted at the park or at the garden to inform the community about this or ask for their input. Greenery, mature trees, and a homey feel are the reason people live in Mount Pleasant. By approving this, you are setting a precedent that these assets are not worthy to survive. It's true that this building will add housing, and I've chosen not to talk about the demoviction of the current residents, as I don't feel that the city always sees this as a valid argument. However, neighborhood services are not able to accommodate this. In the report published by the city in July, Simon Fraser Elementary is predicted to be at 176% capacity by 2031. And this does not include projections from this tower and the numerous other towers that have been proposed in Mount Pleasant. The average wait for childcare in this area is 1 to 3 years. And densifying the neighborhood this rapidly without support pushes families to go to whatever school has space. This disproportionately affects families with lower incomes who could not afford a local private school and goes against transit-oriented development as families are more likely to use a vehicle as opposed to public transport to transport their children to whatever school they can get into. Furthermore, as a cyclist who bikes on Ontario Street every day, this Ontario Street accommodates hundreds of bike commuters a day. 16th and Ontario has already been identified as a major spot for improvement on the city's 2040 transportation plan. This rezoning will mean that 63 parking spots empty onto this bike street. Please tell me how this is congruent with Vancouver's Vision Zero for cycling fatalities and collisions. It's already scary enough to bike on the streets of Vancouver without adding additional parking spots directly emptying onto bike-protected streets. Is the developer going to pay to ensure that Ontario remains a safe bike route when the city redesigned the intersection just for that purpose 2 years ago? Densification is inevitable, and it is actively taking place in Mount Pleasant. But densification does not have to be 17-story towers. The recently proposed Vancouver plan suggests that the area be rezoned for R3, which would be suitable for a building up to 6 stories and congruent with the Broadway plan's tapering of building height at the furthest most point from transit hubs.
Sorry, Hannah, you're over time.
It's okay.
That's okay.
Thanks.
Thanks very much. Thanks for speaking. We now have, sorry, I just have to ask no clapping in the chamber, please. Thank you. It's okay. It's just a procedure bylaw. I'll now go to speaker 5, Ian Wegner on the phone.
Would be Weniger. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Great. So, Chair, I have a quick question to clarify and then a few comments and then a question to staff. Is that okay?
We can't really take questions unless it's of a technical nature in terms of your connection or something like that.
Just to clarify whether this is a rental or a condo.
It's a rental project.
Thank you. Okay. So, thanks. I'm opposed to this development as it stands. I agree with the previous speakers for the no. The first fellow who spoke, good luck. I totally get it. It's just that, you know, we got to be observing the facts on the ground about what the number of people is going to do to the neighborhood. I'm still happy for like 6 stories, but the building as it stands is too tall. I mean, my building, you know, at 16th and Main, I'm a resident of Vancouver. I've been in the neighborhood since '95. I've been where I'm at since 2020. My building, you know, it's about the same height all the way to the park. Now, the density that developer wants, you know, it can be achieved a little closer to what you're hoping for based on the co-design model of Falls Creek South. It packed lots of people down there in the 70s. Don't see why you can't try that. Oh, and I forgot, thanks to the previous speaker, T-Swamp Park, called the Swamp, isn't too far away. Lots of buildings in that neighborhood tipping over. I'm guessing that for the low-rises that went in there, they were partially remediated to get put up by banging a lot of pilings really deep into the ground between Main and Fraser, just a few blocks away. I'm not sure 17 stories is going to be standing up, even if you pounded in twice as many pilings. Okay, now in terms of the housing, 20% below market housing. I'm sorry, below market housing is a fudge term, and honestly, we've got to talk about public housing. We've got to have democratically accountable property management. Talking about this being, you know, 20% is a fraud. Our friend at the beginning who wanted to speak. We need to have 80% public housing, so more folks who really can't afford it, who need some help. They don't need to be at the mercy of merciless markets and strata politics. You know, we're not a strata. But my point here is, you know, like 6 stories, all cheap. Let's do that. Now, the developer at the beginning earlier spoke about, they claim that the building was desirable as it's far enough away from arterials. But as we've spoken about, like, 16th is a 2-lane street, and it's already an arterial rush hour. It's already, and it goes through a school zone. 17 stories worth of traffic. That's at least 14 stories traffic more than what's there now. Street parking is jammed already in the neighborhood. Even if every suite got an underground parking space, driving through streets will become more congested and frustrating and more unsafe, especially in a school zone. It seems like this building, as proposed, is going to jam the arterial even worse and make it more dangerous, especially near a park and a school. This brings me to my quick question for staff, and I'm hoping that it's technical. Basically, what studies were done on the impact of this building on congestion and accidents at 16th and Main? Every day here, there's near misses and sometimes a really good bang, a really good hit. I haven't seen ambulances take any dead people away, but, you know, when you're going to put that many more people, like, did you study that? Like to know on what you came up with. That's all I got. Thanks for your time.
Hey, thanks for calling in. Now go to speaker number 6, Michaela Ann Smith.
Hi. Thanks so much for listening, and sorry I couldn't be there in person. I am a homeowner in Vancouver. I am actually probably 3rd-generation Vancouverite, so seen Vancouver change, and I absolutely love the city. I'm strongly opposed to such a large development on 16th Avenue for a few reasons. First of all, we don't have a housing crisis in Vancouver. We have an affordability crisis in Vancouver. I am lucky enough that I own my own home. I own multiple properties. I'm in a really good position from that perspective. But, you know, my children go to school at Livingston School. I have friends in the community that are nurses, that are doctors. Everyone that I know that doesn't own a home and that rents, and that is either middle class or upper middle class, lives in older homes and older apartments. Every time an older apartment is torn down for a tower, there is less affordability of housing in Vancouver. Right now, I know you've already given the developers back money and forgiven their empty home tax, and I realize that you know, there's been some move of moving for sale condos to rentals, but 16th Avenue, as the previous caller mentioned, 16th Avenue between Cambie, specifically between almost Oak and Fraser Street, becomes a very quiet street. It is not a busy thoroughfare. It is filled with bikers. It's filled with kids. It is not a place to have a 16, 17-story tower. Now, there's plenty of great spots around the city if that's really what you feel is the right thing to do, but changing the zoning here will already put stress on our neighborhood. The last point I want to make is, you know, when we have all of this development, and it's not really being geared towards affordability, it's just being geared towards new towers, and we're not coupling that with infrastructure investment, it's an absolute nightmare. You may have heard that at Hillcrest, there's often hour-long waits to use the pool. Now you're proposing another tower in a neighborhood where people in the neighborhood can't even get into the local school because of the fact that there are so many children in the neighborhood. So adding a tower without adding a school, a community center, and on a street that really has no business being zoned for that level of density is horrendous for the neighborhood, it's horrendous for the local businesses, and it's horrendous for our children. So I really hope that you vote no on rezoning this lot. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Speaker number 7, Luis Villegas. Hi, good evening.
Next slide, please. My name is Luis Villegas. I'm a 40-year resident in the city, practicing urbanism in Canada and the United States. Next. Oh dear. I oppose this tower because towers like these ones destroy families, destroy neighborhoods, and don't invest in their community. Next. Towers are okay downtown, however, towers in the neighborhoods destroy our city's most celebrated and cherished value, the character of our neighborhoods. It is being eradicated one international tower at a time. Next. Towers are the major cause of the housing crisis. And I got the wrong slide. Hang on with me. This is an example of Council's worst urban decision of the year. It took place last summer. Next slide, please. These 3 towers, there's a 3rd tower hiding between the 2, were approved on the excuse that they were outside of the view cone, which is shown in the pink dashed rectangle. Obviously, the photograph puts a lie to that claim, since the view is clearly much wider than the pink rectangle. Next, please. This is a ChatGPT creation using Steve's photo of a student in grade 12, showing his interpretation of what will happen to the city of Vancouver over the next 20 years. Next, please. The joke is on us because the cones can be changed willy-nilly by any sitting council. Next, please. The two major causes of the housing crisis are the SkyTrain and the towers. And here we are approving another tower tonight. Next slide. Houses crossed the affordability threshold back in 1990. Condos followed in 2003. And yet government has done nothing about it. 22 years later, we're still approving yet another tower. Next, please. The two scales of transportation that are present or possible in our area are the SkyTrain, which is a small transit in the core of the region, and LRT, which you can see in these much broader lines that spread about 10 times further. The point about talking about transit in opposing a tower is that the proper kind of transit would have made the tower unnecessary. Next, please. So that in all these communities, if we had transit that would get you into the regional core in less than an hour or two, then we could have built the entire place at human scale.
Louis, I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is really off topic. We're talking about the proposal on 16th Avenue.
Yes, and I'm saying that it would
Appreciate if
not
you
be
could
a
focus on
tower
that.
if we had regional transit.
I just appreciate if you could focus on the project at hand, as this is a public hearing.
My explanation is that that is a reason why I oppose the tower. How will people understand why I oppose the tower? I'm just a crazy guy off the street. No, here's a concrete reason why towers are not necessary if the proper transportation is in place. Let's just move ahead a couple of slides. Go back one. Here's the point again, Chair. The SkyTrain is a small little circle in the bottom left. The regional transit goes all the way around. And so what has happened by choosing a people mover as a transit system is that people's mobility has been limited. And that has contributed to raising the cost of land and therefore making housing unaffordable. I think that's a continuous chain of logic, isn't it? From the tower to the bad transit? They go hand in hand. Okay, next slide. And I just have a couple of slides to go, and the next one. All right, and just to say that in order to get the difference, you sometimes have to look into the weeds. It's not enough to believe what you hear on the street or from a fancy brochure from a transit manufacturer. Next slide, please. In order to reverse what we have created is going to have to take an organized attack on the paradigm of building transit and towers as an excuse of saying that that will deliver affordable housing. Thank you for the chance to speak.
Okay, we'll now go to Speaker 8, Stephen Boas.
Okay, good evening, Chair and Council. I'm a renter and a resident of Vancouver. I'm opposed to this rezoning. There's a particular aspect of this rezoning I'll be examining, which is the solar axis. But before I continue, I wanted to say that I stand in solidarity with the renters who will be displaced and evicted if this is approved. Under the previous Mount Pleasant Community Plan, this site would not have been eligible for rezoning. And the BMR units are more than what I'm paying for rent. Not affordable. Next slide. This is Mount Pleasant, and the Broadway plan has specific language about solar protection. Next slide. On the large map of the solar access area in the Broadway plan, you can see that the site is colored yellow because it is in a protected zone and the park's next door.
Chair, just on
Yes, Councillor Dominic.
on a point of personal privilege, we're not seeing the slides. Or at least I'm not.
Let me just check with the clerks.
Thank you.
Were you able to see the last presenter's slides, Councillor Dominato?
Yes, they were showing up fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you can go back one if that helps there. So there was the map. And yeah, my time was at 40.
The
Okay,
issue
I
is
will.
that it's, folks,
Sorry,
the issue is
Councillor
the
Fry?
camera angle is going from behind the speaker.
Okay.
There we go. You should be good now.
Can you see it now, Councillor Dominato?
Just see a blank screen right now.
Okay. I've stopped your timer. Do we need maybe a minute?
Okay, that looks good.
Oh, there it's coming up.
Yep, you can see it okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great.
Success.
Thank you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we were about at 40 seconds. So yeah, so this is the enlarged map. The site is circled there. It's clearly in the solar priority area and the parks next door. Next slide. There's the map, full map, and the Broadway plan actually says the following. Proposed new development should not create new shadow impact on parks and public schoolyards from the spring equinox to fall equinoxes between 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. No exceptions. That language is very clear. And the spring equinox is either on March the 19th last year or March the 20th, not on the 21st. Next slide. This is a computer model. I've got it here on my computer. And here I've shown the parcels in the foreground so you can see exactly where the park boundary is. And on March the 20th at 10 a.m., there would be clear shadow on Mount Pleasant Park. And the solar access priority would be violated. Next slide. So what I've done here is I've actually taken the building massing and sunk it, lowered it by 11.4 meters, and you can see there are two shadows. And this is how you would bring it into policy, by lowering the building, and this will not have shadow impacts. The pink outline shows the proposed height, and the gray outline shows the lowered height. Next slide. Here's another angle of the current massing. And next slide. This is lowering the building by 11.4 meters, plus or minus. This would bring it back into policy. Next slide. Here I'm showing the pink outline, which is the full height requested by the applicant as proposed, recommended by staff on this 132-foot wide lot, not 150-foot wide lot. And the gray outline shows how much it would have to be brought down by. It's about a little more than between 3 and 4 stories to meet the solar access policy. And there is no provision in the Broadway plan to allow for any amount of breach of that policy. Next slide. Well, how could you actually fix the policy? So if we look at the recommendations by staff, I would suggest that the idea of making some changes to the design and the top of the design to shave it off a little bit to allow for more solar access is insufficient. It will not get the job done. It will not comply with the Broadway plan. What actually has to be done is you need a new condition, which just says strike that condition, but add this one. No new shadow to be introduced on the spring equinox at 10 a.m. anywhere on Mount Pleasant Park, period. It's very, very simple. And if you wanted to go a little bit more, you can change the maximum height by reducing by about 11.4 meters, so that the top of the parapet is 43.6 meters, top of the elevator is 47.6 meters, and this would actually preserve the solar access to Mount Pleasant Park as required by the Broadway plan. And there's no ambiguity here. So I would ask council, just like you did with Major Matthews Park a good few months ago, to say, okay, the parks are important, solar access is important, and you need to do what needs to be done in terms of protecting the solar access to Mount Pleasant Park. Next slide. This is actually a couple of days before the spring equinox on March 19th last year. In that corner of the park that would be shaded and people are sitting out there enjoying the glorious sun and and there are deciduous trees there that don't have leaves in the spring at that time. They're enjoying the sun, and let's preserve the solar access to this park. Very few parts of the Broadway plan are actually impacted by these solar access policies. The map is very clear about what needs to be done in terms of preserving it. So please consider lowering this building. And I will say that this is in Tier 3, which would normally be a 6 to 8 story building at 3 FSR under the TOA. It's right at the edge of the Broadway plan.
We are at time, Stephen.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I do have the model here in case anyone wants to look at it. Load it up.
Okay, that concludes our speakers list. If there's any other additional speakers in the chamber, please come forward to the podium. And Clerk, are there any other speakers on the line?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is the third and final call for speakers. If there's any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll free at 833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445# before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We are now going to take a 2-minute recess for any additional speakers to call in or come forward to the podium. Okay, Clerk, do we have any additional speakers on the line?
Just checking, Chair. Looks like we have one at the podium.
Sure.
So
Can we go to them first?
Yeah.
Should we go to the speaker at the
Yeah.
podium first? Okay. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi. If you could please state your name and if you are a resident of Vancouver.
My name is Lynn Bartram, and I've lived a block away from the proposed development for 31 years.
Great, thank you. So please go ahead.
I'll attempt to keep my remarks brief, but because they have been summarized. But I would remark on the fact, first of all, that when staff presented earlier the response to the initial feedback, they neglected to point out that much of the initial feedback was about the capacity of infrastructure, as well as things like shadowing to accommodate this level of densification. So, Simon, we already have heard a great deal about the school and its capacity level, but the Vancouver schools, particularly the primary ones within the whole area, are completely overcommitted with no sign of this reducing. There's a 3-year wait for childcare at the Simon Fraser, at the local childcare center. Why is there no childcare in this building? Right? Why are there no community amendments? To say they are not required by the Broadway plan doesn't change the necessity or the fact that this is going to have a deleterious impact on the neighborhood. So I should say that, I'm actually talking against my own self-interest because my property values, I live south of the line, my property values are going to go up, but I don't want to see this happen to the neighborhood. I'm in great favor of the type of mid-level density that I had initially thought the Broadway plan would bring to this neighborhood, but we can't seem to have row houses. We can't seem to have 6-story buildings, and I wonder why this is not being addressed here. What we're going to get is one tower that's already been pointed out, it already contravenes the guidelines, and it's just going to lead to more towers. So I am strongly opposed to this. My children grew up in this neighborhood, and I would not want to move into a neighborhood that had a tower like this to raise my children again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Just want to check to see if we have any additional speakers on the line.
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing no further speakers, the speakers list is now closed. Clerk, has there been a large volume of public comments received on this item since 5 p.m.?
Not a large volume. There was one support, one opposition. It was sent to council and posted.
Okay, thank you. Do any council members feel that they need a recess to review that comment that you should have in your email? Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm now going to close the receipt of public comments. And does the applicant have any closing comments? Okay. Do staff have any closing comments?
Staff have no closing. Thank you.
And does council have any final questions for staff? Councillor Orr.
Yeah, thanks to the speakers. I think it kind of underlies again why public hearings are important because they brought up some things that I just didn't flag. I didn't catch the frontage thing. Can you remind? So there's a relaxation for frontage that it can be under whatever the original Broadway plan, but it's okay to be around. I can't remember what it was.
Thank you so much for the question.
150.
In section 7 of Broadway plan, there is a development proposal with lesser frontage may be considered at the discretion of director of planning, less than 150 feet, where the proposal meets the following criteria. Sites have a minimum frontage of 99 feet. This site is 122 feet. The project satisfies the plan's build form and site design policies, including tower separation requirements, and the applicant demonstrates that the development reasonably mitigates development limitations on adjacent properties.
Okay, so that's within the policy. That's fine. Okay. Maybe another question. I heard concerns around the soil, peat bog. This is pretty far from the peat bog. We dealt with this earlier in the spring where we actually sent an application back for hydrogeology. Would that be necessary here? Is this close to that?
I'm going to defer that question to my colleague in engineering who's online.
Hello, hi, Daniel Klein from Development Major Projects and Engineering Services. So that's correct, this site falls outside of the peat zone, but because it's within the Broadway plan area, will require a hydrogeological study, and there are other requirements later in the development process.
Oh, okay. Excellent. And then in terms of the shadowing and the garden, is there any sort of consultation with maybe moving the garden? Is that possible? Would that be up to Parks Board? Is there a potential to we need sunlight to grow vegetables in the garden. So is that being considered?
Thank you for the question. I don't believe it was something that we engaged our Parks Board on during the application process, but we could certainly take that back and consult with them.
Okay, excellent. That's great. Thank you. And then, can we address the concerns around school capacity? 176% is the number I heard. Is the projections, is that meant to go down or what?
So the city does coordinate with the VSB to inform decision-making and reduce enrollment pressure, but we do recognize that there are some schools that are full, but there is an overall surplus capacity within their system. So the VSB is continuing to monitor development and work with city staff to help plan for future growth.
Okay. For that, and I think that's it. Oh yeah, there was also a concern that there should be no new shadows. Is there? I thought I read in the report that the park is already somewhat shadowed by trees in the area or something like that.
That's correct. So the shadowing area is approximately 3% of the entire park area, and it's only shadowed from 10 a.m. to 11:15 a.m. on the equinoxes.
Okay, so but there's already shadowing in the park from trees.
Yeah, and the shadowing proposed is within the current tree canopy.
Okay, that's all from me.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. So I just want to ask a question about some concern regarding the safety of pedestrian and cyclist. Can staff comment on that, and do we have any mitigation strategy for the safety there?
Thank you for your question. I'm going to defer to my colleague in engineering who's online.
Hi, thanks so much. Daniel Klein, again from Development and Major Projects. So the site has conditioned several traffic and safety upgrades, including a new traffic signal at Quebec and 16th, as well as speed humps to reduce speed in the lane. There's already traffic calming on Ontario and 16th as well. And that intersection was upgraded within the last 5 years.
Okay, thank you. A follow-up question. So for the new traffic signal, that's coming from the CAC from this project, right?
That's a development condition.
Okay.
The developer will need to deliver that.
I see. Okay, so that means without this project, there will not be a new traffic signal at that location. Is that right?
Yeah, generally that's correct. Okay. If another developer comes in the area and we deem it also relevant for that developer, that subsequent developer might deliver it. But yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. That's all my question.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I also wanted to follow up on the community garden component. I know you said you hadn't been in touch with the park board, but was there any consideration given to the community garden function? I know that's a hard-working park. There's a lot that goes on there. There's a skateboard component. There's a playground. There's green space. People are picnicking. There's a community garden. There's quite a lot going on in the park. So was there specific consideration given to what's actually in that corner with the community garden?
Yep. Thanks for the question. I just want to mention that at 10, the shadowing on the park at 10 a.m. is it covers just less than 1/3 of community garden, the north side of the community garden, and the shadow will disappear after 10:15 from this portion. So the impact of shadowing on the park, the livable area of the park, and the gathering part is very minor. It is only shadowing the 1/3 of the community garden from 10 to 10, let's say 15.
Okay, so we don't think that'll impact the ability to grow?
Staff consider that this minor shadowing can be reviewed and can be supported.
Oh, sort of what you spoke to earlier with respects to also trying to minimize some of the impact?
Sorry?
You also talked earlier about working as a condition to try to minimize?
Yes, we already have the conditions to minimize this one and make sure we don't have any shadowing, and also work with the applicant to minimize this shadowing. But as I mentioned, that this is just 1/3 of the community garden, and the rest of shadowing overlapping the trees. But we also know that the tree shadowing is not an impact on the park. But in overall, the amount of shadowing is less than 3% of the overall park, not covering any gathering area, any seating area. Is just very minor area of the community garden.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Montague.
Yeah, just one quick question. With regards to, you mentioned the traffic calming, or staff from engineering. Can you just remind me, if my memory serves me right, cars currently don't have the ability to turn onto Ontario from 16th right now? Is that correct?
That is correct. It's a right-hand turn.
It's a
From Ontario onto 16th, it's right-hand turn
right.
only.
which
cars.
would also prevent any access from 16th onto Ontario.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody. Okay, apologies here. Okay, so council will now make its decision on the application. I forgot to do that. We didn't move that, correct? No, sorry about that. So council will now make its decision on the application. Do we have a mover for the recommendations? Councillor Joe, seconder. Councillor Kirby-Young, thank you very much. Okay, council members, any discussion? Councillor Orr.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate all the discussion. Again, like I said, it kind of reaffirms the importance of these meetings to hear from the community, and there's lots of good comments from the community and things like, I agree that we need more social housing on public land, but that's not this project. And I agree that every time you tear down a building, we lose affordability. That's definitely a valid point, but we could implement vacancy control, but that's outside of this. And probably outside of our city jurisdiction anyway. So lots of great ideas, and thanks for staff for the great answers. Lots to think about, obviously. So that's it for me.
Thanks, Councillor Orr. Councillor Kirby-Young.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks to staff for the presentation and to the speakers. I was listening intently to all the feedback. I will say, sort of generally speaking, that I do think that we need to deliver more type of this housing. Our rent, I'm sort of numbers driven sometimes, and I think that the vacancy rate still remains to be low. I also I thought it was quite interesting to hear from the first speaker that sort of talked about the experience of living in one of the older buildings. You obviously want to get the maximum life out of the buildings and affordability. They get to a point in an age where they do need to be replaced, and there were some practicalities pointed out in terms of not having in a lot of these older buildings, laundry, no air conditioning, right? Increasingly having hotter summers. You have accessibility challenges. They don't necessarily have the same life safety protections, and we see that particularly in a lot of the older buildings. So I think that's something that's worth noting. I am going to be a bit hawkish on a number of the applications moving forward with respects to shadowing on parks. I think that is a really important factor because, as we know, as our city grows and we have more people, and people don't have the ability from an affordability perspective to live in single family homes, our parks and green space become more and more valuable, and they're going to have to work harder for people. And that I do know that is a popular park there. So maintaining the green space and the quality of the green space is really important. So I'm going to pay attention to that. But I did appreciate sort of the intersection of that policy between the minor shadowing and sort of the percentage there, which I think is about sort of as far as you would want to go and when you're still maintaining that support. So on balance, I think it is a reasonable proposal. I appreciate that change is coming to neighborhoods, and people love a lot of the characteristics of Mount Pleasant, but I think that you're still going to have a beautiful neighborhood, a great park. I think it will be a nice quality building. And it is 145 needed new rental homes. I'm not compelled by one of the speakers that suggested we should have, well, a bit off topic, that we should have people traveling an hour or two every day out to the hinterland to live in presumably what. And I do think you want to create communities where people can, walk to amenities and services, and they can have a better quality of life because you're also not spending as much time in your day doing that. That gives people more time to do other things. So I'm going to support it for a range of reasons. I appreciate a lot of the comments that were brought up by the applicants. I am satisfied with respects to the traffic management piece. I think that that's been well considered, and I do think that the access for Ontario is well supported in terms of the distinction between having cars for, I think it's about 40% of the units, according to my math, relative to supporting that adjacent cycling route. So there you go. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, see no further councillors on the queue. I'm now going to call the vote. Clerk, if you could please take us to the voting screen, and council, if you could please register your vote on the voting panel. Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you. That completes item 2. Okay, we are now going to move to item 3, CD1 rezoning, 2110 West 5th Avenue. Before we begin this agenda item, if anyone believes they have a conflict of interest, now is the time to declare it. Does anyone have a conflict to disclose? Okay, seeing none. The clerk will now read the application and a summary of correspondence received.
This is an application by Mondavin Properties Corporation to rezone 2110 West 5th Avenue from residential district to comprehensive development district to permit the development of a 20-story mixed-use building containing 160 rental units with 20% of the residential floor area for below-market rental units and commercial space on the ground floor. A floor space ratio of 6.8 and a height of 65.2 meters with an additional height for rooftop amenity space are proposed. The General Manager of Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability recommends approval subject to conditions set out in the summary and recommendation. The following correspondence has been received since referral to the public hearing. 21 pieces of correspondence in support, 23 pieces of correspondence in opposition, and 0 pieces of correspondence dealing with other aspects of the application. This represents all correspondence received up to 5 p.m. today.
Okay, thank you. So this is the first call for speakers. Any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll-free at 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445# before the close of the speakers list. Phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. There will be an opportunity for new speakers and missed speakers to be heard at the end of the registered speakers list. We have staff from Planning, Urban Design, and Sustainability here to present the application. Good evening.
Evening. Thank you. Good evening, Acting Mayor and Council. My name is Brian Wong, and I'm the rezoning planner for this application for the Broadway plan. The site outlined in red is located on the southwest corner of West 5th Avenue and Arbutus Street. It is currently developed with a 3-story, 28-unit rental building constructed in 1967 with existing tenancies eligible under the Tenant Relocation and Protection Policy. The site is well served by transit and amenities, with the future Arbutus subway station 400 meters to the south, bus service along Broadway and West 4th Avenue, and nearby bikeways, parks, and childcare centers. This proposal is being considered under the Broadway plan. Redevelopment anticipates a mixed-use building up to 20 stories and 6.5 FSR for development containing rental and below-market units. Minor increases in height and density are also considered for the delivery of retail, service, or childcare uses. The application was submitted in July of 2024 for a 20-story mixed-use building, a density of 6.8 FSR, and a building height of 214 feet. 160 rental units are proposed with 20% of the residential floor area at below-market rents. Commercial space along the ground floor and parking and loading from lane are also proposed. Please note, this table shown here compares market rents, below-market rents, and household incomes. This new table updates the incorrect values in figure 4 of the report. Shown in red dashes, this application is providing below-market rents that are 20% below CMHC citywide average rents. 61 submissions were received during the public engagement period. Support was for the increased housing stock near transit and for the height and density appropriate to this location. Concerns were relayed to height being too tall for the area, not aligned with neighborhood character, loss of the current affordable rentals, and the need for more below-market units. In response, the proposal meets the form of development requirements, and conditions of approval have been added to further enhance the public realm interface at the lane. All eligible tenants will qualify for the right of first refusal to return to the new building at either a 20% discount to citywide average rent by the unit type or at the tenant's current rent, whichever is less. Lastly, the housing agreement will secure 20% of the residential floor area for below-market units indexed to a 20% discount to citywide average rents. Along with 160 rental units and approximately 33 below-market units, the expected DCL contribution is approximately $1.8 million, with a public art contribution generating a total public benefit of $2.1 million. In conclusion, this proposal meets the Broadway plan, and staff support this application subject to conditions. Staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Would the applicant like to present the application?
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Acting Mayor. My name is Harrison Nesbitt, and I'm here on behalf of Mondavent Developments as the applicant for 2110 West 5th. I'm joined this evening by our partners, Somerville Community Relations and OMB Architects, who are available to support with any questions. In light of staff's thorough overview this evening, we'll be waiving our presentation, and instead I'd like to share the lens through which we've approached this proposal. From the outset, our intent has been to fully embody the vision of the Broadway plan, contributing durable, high-quality housing in the midst of an acute housing crisis while upholding the rights, dignity, and security of our existing tenants. Throughout this process, every effort has been made to adhere to both the spirit and letter of the plan and policy, with a careful focus on contextual sensitivity and tenant relocation. 25 households, including our caretaker, are eligible under TRPP. With Somerville's support, we continue to work closely with each tenant to ensure a process that is transparent, supportive, and designed with the express hope that many, if not all, will choose to return when the building is complete. As property managers ourselves, and with the clear intent of managing this building for the long term, our focus is on providing a home that is durable in both quality and tenant experience. On behalf of our team, we thank you for your time and consideration this evening. We respectfully ask for your support in approving this proposal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any questions from council to staff for the applicant, noting that this is the only opportunity for council to ask questions of the applicant? Councillor Maloney.
Thank you. I was just interested to hear about the public realm improvements from the applicant as part of this project.
So a major focus of this is the improvement towards the laneway at the rear. We've been working with city staff to accommodate that, including improvements to the lighting on the street, obviously improving the safety of the laneway itself. It currently does dead end. We've been working on the loading safety and improvements to the landscape back there as well to make it more of an attractive experience in the future.
And I was interested to read that you're planning loading spaces as well. Does that mean spaces for example, delivery vehicles to come?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, most of our loading will take place in the back alley. We also use that as the emergency turnaround as well.
And removal vans and that kind of
Correct,
thing?
yeah.
Thanks. And with the tenants that are being displaced, can you describe are you going above and beyond the minimum requirements to make sure that the tenants are looked after and helped to provide new housing?
It's a good question. I think that we are, like, as I've mentioned, we are property managers ourselves. We have a long-standing history of tenant management in the city. I think that we have been working closely with Somerville again to follow the policy. I would say that we go above and beyond in terms of the outreach and support, making sure that these tenants do feel supported through the process. In terms of compensation, I think that we're following the policy as defined.
Thanks very much.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, this is the second call for speakers. If there's any speakers for this item who wish to speak to council, please call toll free at 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 1061445 # before the close of the speakers list. The phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We will now hear from the public. Any registered speakers in the council chamber, please come forward to the podium when your name is called. Speakers will have 5 minutes to make their comments and should limit their comments to the merits of the report being considered. Our first speaker today is speaker number 1, Kyle Ross Monroe. Is Kyle present?
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, Kyle. Please go ahead.
Good. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Kyle Monroe, and I'm the partner and operator at 33 Acres Brewing Company. I've been with the company from its early days, and over the years, I've seen how small local businesses can help shape the character of a neighborhood. For us, it's always been about more than sales. From building local relationships to building events and partnerships, it's always been about creating a place where people can gather and feel a part of the community. I know firsthand that many other small businesses in the city feel the same. That's why I want to speak in support of this proposal from Mondovan at 2110 West 5th. What stands out to me is the way they've been intentional about working with local operators such as ourselves and thinking carefully about how their retail space can serve the community. Too often, developments treat these spaces as an afterthought, and the city misses out on the kind of retail that actually brings a street to life. When you look at places like Elio Volpe, Batch, Mercado de Luigi, or Dear Gus, you can see how small-scale independent businesses create energy and identity in our neighborhoods. Mondovan's work to do exactly that, opening doors for intentional small businesses like ourselves to thrive. For those reasons, I'd encourage the council to support this proposal. Thank you all very much.
Okay, thank you. Speaker number 2, Jaewon Kim.
I want to state clearly that I support this rezoning application for 2110 West 5th Avenue. We all recognize that the city is going through a period of change, and many new projects are being proposed as part of the Broadway plan. However, this project stands out, and in particular, if you look at the quality and attention to detail, it's thoughtfully designed and will be a positive addition to the neighborhood. Kind of echoing what speaker number 1 was saying about utilizing the retail area, obviously, and this also brings much needed housing, not only for Kitsilano but the city at large. I also do want to point out that the unit mix is considered to be larger compared to some of the other applications as part of the Broadway plan, and this means that the building will welcome not just individuals, but also couples and families who want to build a life here in Kitsilano. Another strength of this proposal is a sensibly scaled commercial unit again, which will activate the West 5th, which currently doesn't have much retail presence, and it supports local businesses and encourages walkability and adds vibrancy to the community. So for these reasons, I believe the project represents thoughtful growth, and I respectfully urge council to approve this rezoning application. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Speaker 3, Joey Yu.
I want to speak in support of this project. I'm a longtime resident of Kitsilano, and I love the community. I know how tough it is for people to find rental stock in this area, even though a lot of people want to be here. Same as for myself, I've been in the same place for 5 years. I have been having to need to move, but it's been tough just with the limited options. So I am generally in support of most of the density that's going to be proposed in this area. But for this one, I'm especially in favor of it due to it being well located near transit. So I think it's a little more thoughtful where we can put density in Kitsilano. So for that reason, I am in favor of this application.
Okay, thank you. Speaker 4, Chantel Wilson.
worked in.
Hi, is that Chantel?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. So I have worked in property management and real estate for over 12 years in both Alberta and British Columbia, and I'm also a resident of the building on West 5th. From both a resident and a professional perspective, I can say that Mondovan has been an excellent landlord. They go out of their way to address every issue quickly, often within 24 hours, and always have full transparency. Compared to many other buildings in Vancouver, West 5th is kept in pristine condition. Looking ahead, I also believe the neighborhood would benefit from thoughtful growth. More local businesses and services would make the area stronger and more vibrant for the people who live here. And of course, we all know Vancouver is facing a housing crisis. Adding more homes, especially affordable units, is essential if we want this neighborhood to remain accessible and inclusive. Development is inevitable. The real question is who will do it and how. Based on my experience as a resident, I have full confidence that Mondovan will approach this project with professionalism and care, so I strongly approve and support that.
Hey, thank you very much for calling.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Speaker 5, Mitchell Knopfel.
Of the Broadway plan, although a little bit further east, closer to Maine. I'm in general a supporter of development and densification where it makes sense. And I do feel that it makes sense here. Very much in support of this project. You're right off of 4th, you have all the commercial area there, you have grocery. You're going to be just a couple blocks up from rapid transit, connecting across the Broadway corridor into different municipalities further east, Richmond to the south, having downtown connection to the north. Also having the Arbutus Greenway close at hand is offering a lot of options to be able to easily get around to other areas and locales and amenities. Also, I'm a big fan of the commercial at grade. I've been to Arbutus Coffee just a block to the south a number of times. Being a bit further east for myself, the Mighty Oak and the Federal Store are a little bit closer at hand. Go there fairly frequently and even just enjoy walking by and seeing that, the liveliness, and I feel like it really brings about a bit more of a sense of community as well. Overall, very much in support of this project and what it will bring to the area. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. Speaker 6 withdrew. Speaker 7 is Peter Tomanek.
Hello, my name is Peter Tomanek, and I'm a Vancouver resident. I'm speaking in support of the rezoning of 2110 West 5th Avenue from RM4 district to a CD1 district. First, I would like to thank the council for the opportunity to speak today. The mayor, the city of Vancouver, the rezoning planner, the project lead, OMB architects, and the many engineers, designers, and consultants who have worked hard to bring this application forward. As a local resident, looking forward to the future of Kitsilano, Fairview, Broadway, and the surrounding communities, I believe this project will greatly benefit the area. This project aligns with the Broadway plan's vision of providing high-quality, attractive, below and at-market rental housing. The existing rental stock in the area is aging and in need of renewal. This project will be a welcome addition for newcomers to the city, students seeking convenient access to UBC, and locals looking for high quality of life and strong community connection. Its proximity to the new Arbutus station naturally lends itself to a development of this type, offering quick access to the transit network, reducing carbon emissions and travel time, and creating opportunities for residents to enjoy a healthier work-life balance in one of Vancouver's most vibrant neighborhoods. Its closeness to the beach, seawall, and cycling routes supports active lifestyles and promotes the long-term well-being of its residents. As someone who frequently walks from Arbutus Greenway to 4th Avenue, I also appreciate the proposed front yard setback, which will allow for an expanded sidewalk and strengthen the arterial connection between Broadway and 4th Avenue. Quick access to the bicycle-friendly 7th Avenue further supports integration into the urban fabric and advances the Broadway plan's goal of equitable access to resources. Given that this area houses 12% of the Vancouver's population and provides 20% of the city's jobs, I think there's certainly room to grow. The proposed FSR is a step up from the current surroundings, but it aligns with the long-term vision for the area and will be the first of many projects to reach this scale. The retention of mature trees and careful attention to critical root zones will ensure a comfortable pedestrian experience at grade. Tower setbacks have been thoughtfully considered to respect neighboring properties and avoid creating an imposing presence at the street level. As an intern architect, I appreciate the materiality and design of this building. Its subtle color palette complements the neighborhood while referencing the nearby beach and trees. Looking ahead to the next 100 years of Kitsilano and Vancouver, I believe the building will stand the test of time. Among the proposals in the area, this one strikes me as the most elegant and thoughtful. Thank you for your time and consideration. I encourage Council to approve this rezoning and allow this excellent project to move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Speaker number 8, Stephen Bohas.
Okay, good evening, Chair and Council. I'm a renter, I'm a resident of Vancouver, and I'm opposed to this rezoning in Kitsilano. And I'm in solidarity with the renters being displaced and demo-evicted. The proposed BMR is more than actually what I'm paying. It's not affordable, and it's a building in exceptionally good condition if you had a look around it. Next slide, please. One factor I want to bring up, and if you look at the staff referral report, I'm just going to quote directly from page 6 of the staff referral report. Public realm and interface. The plan envisions animated building facades with entrances, windows, balconies, and patios, and engaging landscape design. Note the patios and balconies. So if you look at the floor plans, you're going to see that there are no balconies on some of the units. And the Broadway plan that was made by planners and imposed on Vancouverites clearly says in section 11.1.2, outdoor space, all residential units should have access to private outdoor space, such as a patio and or balconies. So the Broadway plan requires balconies. And this proposal does not provide the required balconies for all units. So basically, this does not meet the Broadway plan, and it is inaccurate to claim that it does. So if you wanted to bring this into conformity with the Broadway plan, you would make a condition of approval, which would require balconies on every single unit. Next slide. And here is another example of units without the balconies that are required under the Broadway plan. And I'll also note that the current DP process for Broadway plan rezonings does not show the floor plans. And I've already said that not showing floor plans and asking for feedback is unprofessional. And that should be changed. And previously, you've had floor plans with DPs. Without the floor plans, people cannot actually look at the floor plans to see if the DP actually meets the conditions. In other words, it's preventing transparency and not allowing the public to check the work. Next slide. Here's a massing model showing some of the other rezonings in progress, but you're essentially turning a livable 3-story, 4-story apartment zone into a concrete jungle. Next slide. And this is the current context. Current context that would have been fine for many, many years prior to the Broadway plan that really the majority didn't want. But it was done by planning behind closed doors without community feedback and imposed on the community. Next slide. Here is a massing model. Just note the scale of the people in the lower left. They're like ants by that car and so on, like completely out of scale. And it really doesn't fit Kitsilano. And West 4th is a street over, so there is an issue with that. Next slide. Part of the issue for the height is, of course, there is no upper limit on rents. So when you have the height lift, you get rents being lifted up to the sky, very expensive, and the BMRs are more than what I'm paying, so even those aren't affordable, and the BMRs are generally at the base of the building. They're not spread throughout. Next slide. So yeah, we've talked about shadows and high streets and no impact. And this is, I'm just like looking 1 month or so past the fall equinox. I know this isn't covered by the Broadway plan, but it's something that was actually covered by the kind of the previous zoning and the previous height. So from October 20th, you're clearly getting shadows on West 4th Avenue, which would decrease livability and the viability of that street. Next slide. This is a photo from February, and part of this would be shadowed by the proposed building at this time. Next slide. Here's some more from February of this year. Glorious sunlight on the north sidewalk all throughout. Next slide. One more example of the sunlight that we're getting. Yeah, you can go on, that's fine. And this is kind of a Google Earth model showing the scale of some of the proposed buildings. The one that's being discussed is the one furthest to the left in the area, and it's a huge departure. Next slide. And this is really a demo eviction, another demo eviction of people living in a very high quality building without really good reasons. It's the kind of rental that we should be saving, and I don't know how many renters will be displaced, what will happen to them. This is the wrong type of redevelopment. Thank you for your time.
Okay, that is the end of our speakers list. If there's any additional speakers in the chamber, do we need to go back to a speaker? No. Oh, sorry. How could I forget? Apologies. Speaker 9, Luis Villegas. Luis, is this the same presentation as earlier?
No, it's the other half.
Okay.
So last time we looked at transit, this time we're going to look at towers.
Okay, and it's on topic to the proposal?
The two of them, hopefully right bang on it. I'm a 40-year resident of the city, practicing urbanism in Canada and the US for the same amount of time. Next slide, please. Let's go forward a couple. Okay, that's good. I'm opposed to this tower because it will destroy human scale in the neighborhood, damage lives and families, and prolong the housing crisis. Next. Towers are okay downtown. However, towers in neighborhoods destroy our city's most cherished value, the character of our neighborhoods. It is being eradicated one international tower at a time. Next. The worst results are the clearest markers that government has made some serious errors over the last 40 years. There's a messy urbanism, there are falling sales, there are declining revenues to government itself. Next. The industry insider term for SkyTrain and towers is land lift. The private sector is laser focused on the top item on the list, their profit. But there is no one looking after the public health and what outcomes these profits are going to create in the neighborhoods. Next, please. The money machine works pretty simply. Rezoning the towers lifts the price of the land. The bigger the building, the more the land is worth. This triggers land price inflation, which then, left unregulated, incubates a crisis in housing affordability. It's not a housing crisis, as another speaker said earlier. It is a housing crisis, affordability crisis. Next. The land lift comes in two shapes. Inside the neighborhood, on the arterials, developers can achieve up to 7-time increase in their investment in the change in the Broadway plan from existing zoning to Broadway plan zoning. Next. But the real prize comes in the neighborhoods themselves on 16th Avenue and on 6th and 5th Avenues, where developers can achieve as much as 2,900% or 29 times more space than was previously zoned. Next. So there can be a little confusion. I can be accused of not being on topic because I'm talking on transit at one Russian doll, and the focus is the staff report, which is another Russian doll, but they all look the same and they all fit inside one another logically. The missing one is the important one, the timeless principles for good neighborhoods. Next. It's not just a housing crisis, there are also follow-on, knock-on effects. Like the shell game, when you double the cost of housing, you reduce by half the amount of money available to spend in the neighborhood. Next. Other speakers have spoken to unit shrinkage, and this is part of the cramming problem with this kind of urbanism. Next. And then due to a turn in the market, we are now going to make amendments to take away CACs. So the community amenity contributions that were one of the government's biggest go-to reasons for building towers is now given back to the proposal, to the developers. Next. Crowding is what the towers get. Putting towers next to three-story buildings or next to cottages is just inane. We should be living below the treetops. Next. Yet the idea of circling the towers around the cottages is so prevalent in this echo chamber that it is boldly illustrated in the plan itself. This is a drawing showing the worst possible imaginable urbanism that mixes two types of buildings that should never be together. Next. Another effect is the falling birth rate. Vancouver is at half the rate necessary for reproduction. Families that could afford to have one child are having none. Those that could afford 2 children are having 1. Those that might have had 4 are having 2. That's what this urbanism is leading us to. Next. So here is a tower on Kingsway and Knight that is making a mockery of the environment, and the sun, the mountains, the sky, and the people's well-being. Next. What people are really looking for is a space. A place that has a ratio of roughly 1 high for the wall for every 3 long in the open space. Next. Yet when we go back to Kingsway and Knight, we find what this urbanism that we are contemplating today really does. There's already a tower on the left shadowing the street half the time. Now, in the name of a gateway, another tower is going to be put on the right to take care of the rest of it. The Kitsilano towers that Steve showed, all lined up in a row diagonally, are achieving the exact same result. Next.
Sorry, we're at time, Stephen.
All right.
Or Lewis,
That's
apologies.
okay. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks so much. Okay, if there's any additional speakers in the chamber, please come forward. Okay, I'm not seeing any. Clerk, do we have any additional speakers on the line?
We do have an anonymous caller on the line.
4664.
Yes.
Can you please
that's me.
identify yourself?
Hello?
Keely, shush. Be quiet. That's okay. So, Christy
Hi there.
Yep.
Lang, Lang.
That's right.
Okay, and you're a resident?
Yes, I am.
And will you be speaking on item 3, CD1? And your position, please?
Opposed.
You want a break?
Stop it.
Sorry, I can't hear you. Yes, hello?
Go ahead, you can
Speaker?
speak.
Okay.
I'm still hearing
Can
the
you hear me?
operator, so I'm just not sure if it's the speaker or the operator.
And you're a resident?
I'm a resident.
And will you be speaking on item 3, CD1?
Can we just kill this audio? Is that possible? Thank you. Should we perhaps take a minute?
Maybe take the.
Okay, let's just take our break and we'll come back to that person. So this is the third and final call for speakers. If there are any speakers who, for this item, wish to speak to council, please call toll free 1-833-353-8610, followed by participant code 106-1445#. Before the close of the speakers list, the phone number will be posted on X and displayed during the recess. We will now take a 2-minute recess for any additional speakers to call in or come forward to the podium. Okay, welcome back. Clerk, do we have any additional speakers in the chamber or on the line?
Not seeing anyone in the chamber, Chair, and I'm just getting a message. Yes, we do have the speaker on the line. We'll give it another try.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Could you please state your name and whether or not you're a resident of Vancouver?
My name is Kirsty Lang, and I'm a resident of Vancouver, and I live on the property adjacent to this property that we're talking about.
Great. Please go ahead.
I'm opposed to this development.
Okay, welcome back. Clerk, do you have any additional speakers?
Sorry, we'll just have to get you to turn down the audio because we're getting feedback
Sure.
from probably the live stream.
Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. There are a couple things that I wanted to address, namely building height and gender and safety. There are many reasons to believe that community housing and affordability come with 6 stories rather than towers. We've certainly heard examples of effective 6-story neighborhoods from cities around the world. The BC code apparently allows us to build with a wood frame up to 6 stories. It's also faster and less labor intensive, at 25 to 45% less expensive than a 12 to 59-story concrete tower, and far more environmentally supportive than concrete towers. The other thing that I'd like to talk about, which I haven't really heard addressed much, so I bring it up in the context of this particular site because I live in the building that runs the full length of it, facing 6th rather than 5th. But I hope it's something that council can think about going forward in terms of additional towers. I have a concern about designing with women in mind. Turning up lots and city blocks like this to build 20-plus story towers, this affects care, connection, and the right to feel safe in public space. A woman in public has to calculate, how long will the walk be? How dark? How crowded? How empty? Who else will be there? These questions aren't about comfort, they're about survival. A neighborhood in ongoing flux with construction zones, blocked sight lines, and mechanical noise create an environment where women feel vulnerable. Empty lots and scaffolding make great hiding spots for predators. Streets are dark and deserted or chaotic. Broken lights and sidewalks, blind corners, recessed doorways, and dead-end alleys compromise our safety. I'm a little unclear about the reference to an alley existing behind this building. In fact, there is a parking lot behind this building that is enclosed on 3 sides. So that constitutes another dead end, which is a safety hazard. So it's not an alley that leads to somewhere else that can be used for escape if necessary. A tower's podium with businesses doesn't guarantee safety, visibility, or care for women neighbors. Commercial spaces with high ceilings and hard flooring interfere with acoustics. Inside them, it's hard to hear if there's a problem happening right outside. A business in the podium that's closed for the day or night isn't a helping hand. It's a barrier to help. So I really hope that you take these words to heart. We are 50% of the population. We think about these things every time we step outside. Towers really affect our quality of life and our safety, whether it's the construction of them or the existence of them and the separation of domestic life from the street when we need people to help us. Thanks very much for your time.
Okay, thank you for calling in. Clerk, do we have any additional speakers on the line? Okay, thanks. Seeing no further speakers, the speakers list is now closed. Has there been a large volume of public comments received on this item since
No.
5? Okay, thank you. Okay, seeing as there are few or no public comments received after 5 p.m., I'm now going to close the receipt of public comments. Does the applicant have any closing comments? No. Okay, thank you. Do staff have any closing comments?
Staff have no closing comments.
Okay, thank you. Does council have any final questions for staff? I've not seen any. And clerk, did we receive any additional public comments since the close of public comments?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, council will now make its decision on this application. Do I have a mover for the recommendations? Moved by Councillor Kirby-Young, seconded by Councillor Orr. Council members, is there any discussion? Okay, I'm not seeing anyone on the queue. So I'll call the vote. Clerk, if you could please take us to the voting screen, and council, if you could please register your vote on the voting panel. Okay, that passes unanimously. And that completes item 3. We need a motion to adjourn. Okay, that sounded unanimous. Councillor Kirby-Young, followed by Councillor Klassen. All those in favor say yay. Yeah, any opposed say nay. So that's carried, and the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you, Chair. I think he's gone.
Yeah, sorry, I just noticed he's on the queue, but I'm not sure as to why. Okay.